We continue now at the top of Daf Pei Aleph from Mesechet Kesuvos. This is Kesuvos Daf 88a. And the previous Amud, the Gemara was discussing a situation where an aide says that the wife already receives her ksuba, and she's claiming her ksuba, and so the halach is that she has to take a shvua midrabanan, and the Gemara explained the reason why she takes a shvua is lahafis daito shel bal. She wants to appease. She has to appease the mind of the husband, because the husband sees over here that an aide is saying that he's already paid it, he doesn't know anything. So she takes the shvua in order to collect. And so now Rav Papa says, if this husband is smart, maisi loli de shvua doraisa. There's something that he can do that can force her to take a shvua doraisa. As Rashi over here says, li de shvua doraisa she b'shem o b'kinoi v'ochet sefer b'yadr. You're either using the Shem Hashem or a kinoi, a nickname of the Shem Hashem, and then the person will be holding a sefer Torah. So therefore, it is a much stricter shvua. So if he's smart, he can do something to make her take a stricter shvua as follows. Yohiv lo ksubasa ba'apechad sahada. What he does is as follows. He gives her a ksuba a second time, assuming he paid the first time. He gives her the ksuba payment a second time in front of one witness. And now you can add or join together the first witness and the second witness. You now have two witnesses that the ksuba was paid. And then he can say that first payment that he made, that was really just a loan and she owes him money. So now he claims money from her. And now there's one witness that says that she owes him money, and therefore she has to take a shvua doraisa in order to get out of paying that money. But the Gemara says, 1 second, Maskef lo Rav Shisha Breder Avidi, Rav Shisha Breder Avidi asks on this approach, how can you join together the first witness and the second witness? Because they didn't see the same thing. The first witness saw the first payment, and the second witness saw the second payment. How can you join them together? So the Gemara gives a slightly alternate answer. Alamar Rav Shisha Breder Avidi. Rather, Rav Shisha Breder Avidi says you do it as follows in order to make her take a shvua doraisa. Yoiv lo ksubasa ba'ape sahada kama v'sahada basra. Pay her the ksuba now a second time in front of that same first witness that saw the first payment, and get another witness. Umukim lo lahanach kamoy behalva. And then again say that first payment was really a loan. Now you really do have two witnesses on the actual ksuba payment, the second payment, and you have one witness on that first payment, which we're now turning into a loan, and now she owes the money, and again, she has to take a shvua because there's one witness. And so the Gemara says, Maskefla Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi asks on this, Akati, but still, Yechola Lememar, she can claim, she can say, Beis Ksubas Havoy, that there were two payments because there were two Ksubas. And so therefore she can claim she owes nothing. So Elo Amar Rav Ashi, so rather Rav Ashi says, Hu demo de lahu, you're right, but the case is where he's telling them exactly what he's doing. Rashi over here explains that if he's telling him exactly what he's doing, meaning he's telling the witnesses and saying, look, the only reason I'm making this payment, really I already paid the ksuba, but the first one I'm turning into a loan in order to make her take a shvua doraisa. If he tells them all of that, and then she claims that it was really two ksuba payments and the witnesses don't back her up, so Rashi says it's already a milsa de lo shchicha. It is uncommon that there would actually be two ksuba payments, and therefore we would not believe her in that regard. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, Minachasim Mishubadim. It said in the Mishnah that anytime she tries to collect her ksuba from property with a lien on it, meaning property that the husband already sold, so she's trying to collect from the Lakuchos, so then also she needs to take a shvua. And the Gemara says, Tanan Hasam, we learned in the Mishnah over there, this is in Shvuas, V'chein ha'yisomim lo yifru ela b'shvua. The same is true by orphans. They should not get paid unless they take a shvua. And the Gemara says, Miman, who exactly are they collecting from? Ilema mi lova, if you're going to say that they are collecting from a lova, meaning to say there was a borrower who borrowed from their father, and now these orphans, they're collecting that debt that was owed to their father. Now they're collecting that debt because their father died. But that doesn't make any sense. Hashta avi and shakal below shvua. Now you're saying that had their father been alive, this is a regular normal debt that he could collect without a shvua. The inu b'shvua, and the fact that they're orphans makes them worse off. They have to take a shvua. That doesn't make sense. So the Gemara says, rather what we mean to say is as follows. V'chein hayisomim min hayisomim. What the Mishnah means is, if you have orphans collecting from orphans, the point is, they're collecting from other orphans, so lo yifru ela b'shvua. So they can only collect with a shvua. If you're trying to collect a debt from orphans, you have to collect with a shvua. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Zreika, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Zreika says that Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo shanu ela sha'amru yisomim, Amar lanu abo lovisu parati. This is halacha that when you're collecting from yisomim, so you have to take a shvua. That's only if the yisomim say, if they claim that our father told us that he said, I borrowed and I paid it off. Meaning, they're admitting that there was a debt. They're just saying it was already paid. Avalamr, but if these Yisomim, if they say, Amar lanu abba, that our father told us, Lo lavisi, that I didn't even borrow, so af shvua lo yifru. Even if the litigant, even if the other party takes a shvua, they do not have to pay, because here they're claiming that there was no loan whatsoever. And the Gemara says, Maskif lo Rava, so Rava asks on this. Adrab, on the contrary, if they say that there was never a loan, that the father never borrowed, that should be worse. Kalomer lo lavisi, komer lo parati dami, because there's a principle. Anybody who says I never borrowed, really it's like they're admitting that they never paid. We have a shtar here. It says there was a loan. They're saying they never borrowed, or they're saying their father never borrowed. That's an admission that they didn't pay. That should make them worse. So the Gemara says, rather, what we mean to say, if we're going to say anything, we mean to say as follows. Amar Rabbi Zreika, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Zreika says that Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo shanu elisha amru yisomim. It's only true if the yisomim say, Amar lanu abba, that our father said, Lavisiu parati, that I borrowed and I paid. That's when you collect from them with a shvua. Aval amru, but if they say, Amar lanu abba, that our father said to us, Lo lavisi, that I didn't even borrow, nifra and shalo b'shvua, then they actually have to pay even without the other party taking a shvua. Shekal omer lo lavisi, komer lo parati dami. Because when a person says I didn't borrow, it's basically like admitting that they didn't pay. It actually puts them in a worse position. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, v'nefras shalo befonov lo tifra ela b'shvua. So it says again, anytime the woman is collecting, the wife is collecting the ksuba, not in front of the husband is not there, so then she has to take an oath. Amar Rav Acha Sarabira, so Rav Acha Sarabira says, Ma'aseh lefnei Rabbi Yitzchak b'Antochia. There was an incident in front of Rabbi Yitzchak in Antochia, v'ya Amar, and he said as follows, Lo shanu ela l'ksubas isha misham chayna. This halacha over here is only when it comes to ksubas isha, when it comes to the ksubas isha situation. So then we say that if it's shalo b'fanav, so even though he's not here, she's allowed to collect. She takes a shvua and she collects, and that's in order to curry favor, so that the women are favorable, so that the men are favorable in the women's eyes, because the women know they can rely on collecting the ksuba, and it'll be easier to arrange marriages for people to get married. Aval balchov lo, but when it comes to a balchov, let's say that you want to collect from somebody who's not there, just a regular debt that is owed, that you cannot collect if the person is not present. The Rava Amar Rav Nachman, but the Gemara continues. Rava says that Rav Nachman says afilu balchov. No, even by a balchov you can collect if the person is not there. Shelo yehei kol echad v'echad notel ma'osav shel chaveru, because otherwise what's going to happen is every single person is going to borrow money, take money from his friend, v'holech v'yoshev b'medinas hayam, and then he'll go and he'll sit far away in a faraway place, and you'll never be able to collect from the person. V'yata noel dalas b'fnei loven, and the next thing you know, you're going to shut the door in front of borrowers. No one's going to want to lend money under those circumstances. So the same is true, just like by Ksubas Isha, so too by a Balchov, there is a way of collecting, even if the person is not present. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Rabbi Shimon Omer calls Mansha Tovas Ksubasa v'chulu. Rabbi Shimon here made a statement and said, as long as she's claiming the Ksuba, so then she collects with the Shvua. But if it's not talking about the Ksuba, so then she's not able to collect with the Shvua. And the question was, what exactly was Rabbi Shimon saying, and what was he going on? And so that's what the Gemara asks. Rabbi Shimon Ahaya, what is Rabbi Shimon going on in the Mishnah? And the Gemara says, first suggests as follows, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah says, he's going on the following line in the Mishnah. It said in the Mishnah, "V'nifras shelo b'fanav lo tifra ela b'shvua." Any time that the husband is not present and she's trying to collect money, she can only do so with a shvua. Lo shna lemizone v'lo shna l'ksuba. The implication of the Rabbanan of the Mishnah is it doesn't matter what she's trying to collect. Whether she's trying, let's say, to collect mizonos, let's say the husband is not there, he went far away, she wants to get mizonos from his property, or if she wants to collect the ksuba, let's say it's a situation of a divorce. In both situations, she takes a shvua and collects. V'yasar Rabbi Shimon l'meimar, and it's on that line that Rabbi Shimon is coming and saying, "Kol zman shetovas ksubasa yorshin mashbianosa." No, if she's claiming the ksuba, that's one thing. Then the yorshim can administer a shvua, and then they can, and in that situation, she collects with a shvua. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Peiches Amud Beis.